Alright, in this next graph or video, I'm going to show you how to do a line graph using Google Sheets. So again, you're going to need to open up a Google Sheets page using your Google Drive tab, opening up a new Google Sheets. Okay, again, I've entered some data in, pardon me, for a line graph. So you'll see here, I'm doing, I can explain the data in a minute here. I'm just going to show you an example of what Google Sheets does in terms of sort of automatic formatting. So I was entering time of day. So for example, I was entering 4 o'clock p.m. Once I enter 4 o'clock p.m., it automatically changes that to a sort of military time, which is fine. That's okay for my data. It doesn't affect it really. So I've entered in my data points there, and I'm just going to say that maybe 4 p.m. we have 15 here. So again, I'm going to highlight my data. I'm going to click on this little icon that says Insert Chart. I'm going to go to the Charts tab, and I'm going to click on Line. I'm going to choose the top choice, so I'm going to choose Line Chart, and then I'm going to go Insert. All right. Again, you'll notice that I'm missing a bunch of information or sort of rules that we have said that is required to create a good graph. So a title, x-axis, y-axis, labeling those things with units. So let's take a look here. Again, I'm going to click on this little arrow on the top right hand corner, and I'm going to click on Advanced Edit. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give my chart a title. I'm going to say temperature throughout the day. Also, in case you weren't watching the videos prior to this one, you will notice that in my left-hand column, I have all my information for the x-axis, and in my right-hand column, I have all my information for the y-axis. Again, this is your dependent and responding variables, while in the x-axis, it is your manipulated and independent variables. Okay, so let's go back to our advanced edit. All right, and I've changed the title so it says temperature throughout the day. I don't need a legend so much, so we won't worry about that as in this graph. So I'll get rid of that. I just clicked the drop down menu, chose none, which is good. You can change the features of the graph so that it's smooth line. I'm going to keep it as a dot to dot simply because this temperature is more of an exact value. Therefore, if I smooth out the line, you're not actually getting the exact temperature that was taken at that time. I don't need to do anything here for the features. I can maximize it, although sometimes this isn't the best way to view your graph. Alright, so I'm going to change my horizontal axis title. Again, I'm going to choose horizontal from the drop-down menu. And I'm going to change the horizontal axis title to time of day. That should be good. I don't need to put a unit in simply because time of day is implied through the military time. Alright, I'm going to then edit my vertical axis or my y-axis, and I'm going to call this temperature. And again, I'm going to indicate my units. Now this is super important because, again, these numbers, especially when we're talking about temperature, can be in Fahrenheit and Celsius, and those are two very different things. So I'm going to say in degrees Celsius. Okay. Okay, so in degrees Celsius, if you would like, you should be able to insert a special symbol and change this so that it's actually the degree symbol in Celsius, but again, it's not a huge deal. For my y-axis, it gives me the option to change the minimum and the maximum. For example, it might be a wise decision to make 0 as my minimum temperature and my maximum temperature at something like 18. All right, this gives me a pretty good data set. In this case, I actually don't want to leave my minimum at 0 just because 0 makes sense for Celsius. That doesn't necessarily mean it makes for a good graph. So I'm actually going to change my minimum to 5. Or let's go with 8. That even spreads out my data more. So if I start my graph at 8 and go up, this essentially has done a data scrunch on its own. So I start my temperature at 8. I can spread out my data over the chart. If you would prefer to keep it at 0, that's just fine, and it gives you a good spread over the data. You're still using about a large portion of the graph, so it's not a big deal. Again, here I might want to change some of my grid lines. So for example, on my major grid lines, I may want to add in an extra grid line just to view the data a little bit better. I can do the same for my horizontal axis if need be. In this case, it's not super relevant because my points are plotted on the time exactly. I can change the color of the line if I so desire. And again, I can view the line a little bit better if I add thickness to it. And that should be pretty good for your graph. So once you click update, it will update all the changes that you've made, save it to your chart, and you should be good for your line graph. Again, you're going to need to enter your data into your graphing Google spreadsheet, and then highlight the data in order to enter your graph. Good luck!